this is my story. So I went to church from a young age. I don't remember when. I was too young. Right up until I was about in 3rd grade. So, and it was like, a routine. It was what our family did every Sunday. So we'd wake up, like me and my brother and sister, we'd go watch like Thundercats on like, Saturday, Sunday morning cartoons. Yes. And then we'd go with like Grandpa and Grandma, and we'd drive to a place called the Coffee Cup. This is when I lived down in kind of by Las Vegas. And we'd have like an early breakfast, and then we'd go over to church, and then they'd send us off to Sunday school, and we'd sing Jesus loves me. Yes. Anyway, sing all the songs, and like the flannel graphs and all that good stuff. And so, yes. Oh, sweet. Cool. After that, this one's quieter. Yeah. So basically, from the early church experiences that I had, I knew everything there was to know about God and about Christians. You see, God made everything we see and touch and hear and smell, and He sent His Son to earth to die for us so that we could hang out with Him in heaven. And Christians were people who knew this and went around saying things like, God bless you, and I'll pray for you, to let us know that they understood. So, in short, I knew that religion wasn't really something I was interested in at all. So, my family started going to church, like I said, about 3rd grade, and then I kind of grew up, and I went going through high school my first couple of years. There's a few things I believed and a few things I didn't believe. For instance, I didn't believe the Big Bang Theory that a lot of my science teachers were soliciting because I just didn't think that life on this planet, so complex and like intricate and amazing, could have happened by accident. But at the same time, I believed there was a God, but I didn't believe He made a lot of sense. By that I mean that I had way too many unanswered questions. Like, if God exists, why doesn't He make Himself known so that everyone knows Him, right? So it'd be a lot easier to talk to your friends about God because everyone would know that He exists. Or like, the universe is huge. Like, I got this email from someone, and it shows like planets they found out in like Deep Space Nine that make the sun look like tiny, and like the sun, and then it's huge. And so if He made the universe so huge, why did He just make this little tiny planet with us on it? And there's so much bad stuff going on in the world, and if God is a loving God, why doesn't He just come down and put an end to it and make everyone happy? So, I didn't know the answers to these questions, so I couldn't really believe that there was a God. But at the same time, like, it didn't make any sense, and of course I had no one to question me on it, so it just kind of stood, is that I believed there was a God, but I didn't believe there was a God. So, and I'm sure a lot of you out there can kind of relate to what I felt. And then came a friend, whose name is Stephanie. And you see, I had this kind of small circle of friends at school, and she was one of them. And I knew she was a Christian, but like I said, I wasn't really interested in religion, or God for that matter, so I never really asked her to explain herself or anything. But, and she would occasionally hint at like her youth group, hey, you guys want to come, or whatever, or she would, eventually drop the God word. But what really stood out to me were her actions. And that's kind of a key point for like all you people out there who are believers, is that you guys have probably heard this a lot, but it really was her actions that stood out to me as someone who's lost and, a non-believer. The best thing, she would say things that made, absolutely no sense, or do things that, just were weird. So the best example I could think of was, like I said, Jerry mentioned, I went to Dayton, and if any of you guys have been keeping up, we've gone to state for the past 4 years. Our basketball team has gone to state for the past 4 years and lost in the finals. But, so it's always a really, I'm sure if any of you guys are on sports teams and stuff, losing in the final sucks. So it's always, I'm in, I don't know if you guys knew this, but I'm also a huge band nerd. So I've been in band since 6th grade playing the drums. And so I went with the school pep band down to cheer on our team my junior year down in Las Vegas. And while we were there, it was a really hard loss, and we lost by 3 points, it was crazy. And then so everyone, of course, on our team was just super snappy, and we're all, on each other's backs, just quiet, load the gear, because we just lost, it sucked. And there's this kid who's, I'm not gonna lie, he's less than intelligent. And he was like, well, the only reason they beat us is because they bought their team members, and I heard some of them are from colleges, and all this, this dumb stuff. And Stephanie plays basketball, and she's highly competitive, and so she's like, dude, just be quiet, and was really snappy with him, and kind of shut him down, which is, I thought, hilarious. And then, but then later on, she came up to him, and she was like, look, I'm sorry for acting the way I did, I hope, you're not mad at me or whatever. And I was standing there when that happened. I was like, what? Because that was definitely what he deserved because he was being so dumb. And I mean, she wasn't even that mean about it, but you know, just stuff like that like didn't make any sense. I was like, why? What would possess someone to do that? You know? And yeah, like I say, it was things like that made me stop and wonder just what her deal was. I mean, she could take on 5 AP classes in school and not implode because of the stress, and she had this need to apologize for stuff that she had like no control over. I was like, what? So all these really weird things. Then, like I say, we came back from summer one year. It was actually my junior year, and she'd come back from a thing called Hume Lake. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah!
And she was just like crazy and just like, oh man, I went to this thing. It was Hume Lake, and just all the stuff that didn't make sense. There was like swings and bike jumps and flaming stuff, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And so she was really just she was really trying to get me to come to her youth group, and she was like, you should come. It's really cool. You know, you meet a lot of awesome people. Play some cool music. It's good stuff. And I was like, eh. And so I'd use this tactic, and I'm sure some of you out there have used this before. So I would agree to go on Mondays, right? I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'm there. All right, Sunday morning, you know, we used to have Sunday mornings. So I was like, sure, I'll be there. And then like Friday night, you know, Saturday, I would give her a call and be like, hey, Mom says I can't go because I have too much homework. Or be like, hey, sorry, I can't go, I have too much going on this weekend, you know? So it's a classic. And like I say, I'm sure some of you guys have used this before. But she finally wrote me into going. You see, this Crave, as it's apparently called, has something known as the Crave Band, and which is like a band that's open for any of the youth in the youth ministry to join. And the idea of me, like, because you know I play the drums, the idea of me playing like an actual like rock band, I was like, whoa. So I came one day, and so it was about a year and a couple months ago, and I came in here Sunday morning, and